G'day warbanders and welcome back to another video. This time I'm talking about Master of Command, an 18th century battle simulator. And it's made by Griffin Johnson from the Armchair Historian YouTube channel. And I gotta say guys, this is a huge step up from Fire Maneuver. And I don't say that lightly. As someone who has like 300 or so games, lots of strategy games, I've played lots of games. And this one, I was playing till like 12 p.m. It's very addictive to play. It's very similar to Ultimate General, and Total War, a bit of Total War and a bit of Battle Brothers, those are just excellent games. I like Ultimate General more than Total War, and I'm happy to see it in this game. And I like these games because this game because it's set in the 18th century, specifically the 7 Years' War, which is arguably the first World War. And the reason why it's interesting is because you have multiple great powers, the multiple great powers of Europe, getting involved in these massive combats across multiple continents. And the presentation and graphics are just chef's kiss. I just love the music. They went for the Armchair Historian style still, which I think it still holds up. It's very stylistic, colorful. The uniforms are all pretty accurate. They got some experts on board to look at the game, some historians to check if the accuracy is good. And the uniforms, the variety is so massive in terms of the nations. You have so much content in this game. It feels like a steal that what you're getting here. I would have expected to play one faction, but you get multiple. You play as Austria, Prussia, France, UK, and who else? I think that's all of them. And France. They come with all unique bonuses that lends to you to play into different play styles. I love when Griffin makes different play styles. You're not just focused on one sort of play, but you can go into artillery, cavalry. For example, I'm playing as Austria, which gives me a focus on cannons. Right now cannons are a bit underpowered, but I still like that there's a focus on different unique factions. The game feels large scale, which I just absolutely love. I don't care about the little minor details that no one's going to notice when you zoom in on the troops, like in Total War. In this game, they're focused on that large scale feeling, which is a good focus, because I feel like the battles in Total War, for example, were too small, and it's great that they went for the Ultimate General feel, where you just see the lines of troops moving up in attack columns. It's just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And the music, as I said before, is just really good. Fire Maneuver's music was epic, and this one's just great. It's a mix of classical marches and original pieces. And the ultimate goal of this game is you have to go through different regions with different modifiers. You have to fight your way across these regions. I think it's 3 regions that you fight across, and this can be in across Europe. It can be even in the UK. So there's a bit of alternative history there. And your location is determined by your nation. So you might be fighting in Bohemia as Austria, which I'm currently fighting as. And the ultimate goal really is to survive, fight your way across the regions, I said before, gain more XP, more soldiers and items. There's lots of customizability with the armies, so that's really good. It's a nice feeling of progression. And yeah, you got to beat these massive boss armies, I would say, at the end of the region to progress. But there's also other armies on the field that you have to defeat to get XP. And the game really incentivizes you to, build up your forces as fast as possible and to get snowballing. It's always this constant feeling of, I need to build up my army, constantly, and get them better, more troops, more items, more equipment. And getting more resources. So there's 4 resources in the game. So you have gold or money, and you have rations, you have reserves, you have ammunition. You also have army stances like in Total War, so you can do a force march. You can raid villages if you're running out of supplies. You can drill your forces if you stand still, which I think is a bit weird because you always want to be on the move. I wish you can just drill on the way to your objective, but it is what it is. And you have forage, which gives you less consumption of your resources. So there's a few, different play styles you can play here. You can start raiding villages if you want, or you can take the slow and measured approach where you're just farming XP, which is what I like to do. I like to just farm everything. And this game really incentivizes you to farm, farm the enemy armies and just, build up your army. Like you can have the choice of rushing the main army in the game because they slowly get powerful over time. And if you want to hit them early, you're free to do so, but they might be harder to beat because you haven't farmed up all those resources yet. And what I love about this game also is that the regions are all randomly generated with towns of varying sizes and modifiers. You might have cheaper ammo in one town. You might find a cuirassier unit in a large scale town. So there's so many random elements to the game, which just heightens replayability immensely. And you will be fighting different types of nations on the field. You might be fighting UK, you might be fighting Prussians, you might be fighting the Russians. I feel like it's a bit too random of what nation you fight, because sometimes you'll be fighting, some different armies, and you're like, oh, I'm fighting Prussia now. What the heck? Where'd they come from? And sometimes you have enemy armies coming off the side of the map that are searching for you, actively hunting for you, which gives me a nice high fleet feel, where you're like walking around the map and you're like, oh shit, where are they? Because there's a fog of war element, right? So you could walk in right into an enemy army. But I feel like the game at this current stage, at least on normal settings where I haven't touched any modifiers, the game is a bit too easy. But this might be just me where I'm skilled at the game, or I just haven't enabled the correct modifiers to make the game harder. And just more into the battles themselves, they're just so well designed. Obviously the focus is on the battles and they feel long, which is good, because I feel like some Total War battles, for example, are just too short, like 10 minutes short. So they made them way more longer in this game. And they have a nice ebb and flow. Like historical tactics are viable, so you can screen out your forces. You can put your troops in attack columns to make them more maneuverable. And, bayonet charges are quick and decisive. So if you want to smash an enemy regiment and you want to try and, do a flanking maneuver and charge in to say if your left flank is being utterly collapsed, you want to charge on the right flank, then, that's a good option. That's a historical tactic, right? And, morale damage is way more important than raw casualties. So, at the beginning of a battle, you might be doing volley fires at long range to get the morale damage instead of trying to kill the enemy, which I find is very historically accurate because, I feel like, this game captures musket warfare the best. Even though it doesn't, it's a more gamey version, I would say. It's a bit more, what do I say, more focused on the gameplay instead of absolute realism. So you're not going to be tracking individual, bullets, right? And I just love that you can form reserves. So the game does encourage you to have some reserves in to respond to threats on your frontage. So you might have some grenadiers in reserve in attack column. They might move in to the left or right to deal with an enemy that's crushing your line. One big complaint, and I know that Griffin's working on this, but initially they're going to fix this when it comes out to the release. But the cannons, they're good. You can shoot things at long range, which is what I like, but they're very weak. Okay, you can't really do a historical tactic where they're actually in line with your infantry shooting, because they just die instantly. But that's going to get fixed in release, hopefully. And the cavalry, again, like the cannons, they can be shot down if you get too close to infantry. Say for example, if you try and do frontal charges, it's not going to work, right? You got to have cuirassiers, and you won't be charging with hussars. So it really encourages you to do flanking maneuvers with cavalry. And also a lot of your cavalry can be equipped with musket carbines, which is pretty nice because they can be a really mobile force and shoot up enemy infantry, and you can just pull them back. And there's lots of tools to deal with your enemy, which I really like. I feel like, instead of focusing on building up your items for your soldiers, you gotta have more guns or more regiments. I feel like that's a better option in the game right now. That could change when the balance patches come out. But skirmishers are really overpowered right now. Like, they're super durable. They do lots of damage. They've got like 1,000 kills. Like thousands, literally thousands of kills with just skirmishers, and they're very durable, and they just hold out for the entire battle compared to line infantry. So I hope Griffin fixes that eventually. And as I said before, units are very customizable. You can give them items to boost their stats. And this gives you like some like mini options to make certain builds for units. Maybe you want your grenadiers to be equipped with lots of melee items that give you lots of melee stats, so that makes them really efficient monsters, right? And you give your skirmishers lots of accuracy items. So like there's lots of little builds you can make. And I feel like this is going to be too strong. Like Griffin has to like stop all the bonuses, because there's a lot of like bonuses in this game that you acquire. And I feel like it's too much sometimes, because it just makes you snowball way more harder than the AI, because they don't get these bonuses. Because there's also doctrines which you get at the end of a region that just make you so powerful. Like negative 50% officer higher cost. Like I get 50% officer's command radius because I'm a master of command. I get night marches, so I move 10% more movement speed at night. I get negative 40% recruitment costs because of salary reductions. It's these bonuses are super strong, and I'm just like, you're giving the player way too many bonuses, Griffin. So that's one negative. That's why the game probably feels too easy. Is that there's too many bonuses that are interacting and making the player really strong. But that's also a good thing, because you want to feel strong as a player when you progress. Like you want to get stronger and stronger and stronger, but like you don't want to get too powerful. And in the normal version of the game with no modifiers, the game is, I haven't lost a single battle yet. I at the start when I was learning the game, that's when I was losing. But then when I learned how the game works, like with volley fire and all that, it was just, I haven't lost a battle yet. So, but I haven't enabled the hard modifiers, so that could be a factor. And also, I'll just touch on like the managing camp element. So similar to Ultimate General, you assign ammunition, weapons, swords, horses. You can level them up once their veterancy gets higher, similar to Mount and Blade with the troop trees. You also have commanders with traits that give you certain benefits and debuffs. There's like a feeling you have to expand your army very quickly, otherwise you'll just get outscaled by the enemy army in the region. And as I said before, these all feed into like a feeling of you have to build up your army really quickly, get lots of XP. You have to just get as much resources as possible so you can fight the final army, because it's a game where like difficulty gets higher and higher. Or at least that's what I'm seeing in the second region. Like the armies just get bigger and bigger, and you have to keep up with the difficulty. And yeah, guys, that is Master of Command in a nutshell. Very cool game. I feel like this is going to be a great game. It's a big step up, as I said before, from Fire and Maneuver. And there's not many 18th century games on the market right now. Like there's very few, and I feel like Griffin has nailed this game. There are any problems I have in my final thoughts is that you need to do some balancing here, because there's certain things, certain overpowered strategies which lead to snowballing, but that's okay, because it's not a multiplayer game. But for me, who like always chooses like the best, quote unquote, best option, it's really easy to snowball in this game. And I hope that Griffin takes like after release, he like takes a look at the numbers and see if he can, make it a bit more harder. But then again, I'm not using the hard modifiers, so that could be a factor. But yeah, guys, if you enjoyed this little snapshot at Master of Command, please give me a comment, like, and subscribe. Tell me your thoughts. Are you excited for this game? I'm so happy that Griffin gave me a key, because, I wanted to try this game. I've been watching it for probably like 2 years at this point. I can't remember when it was in the conceptual stage, probably in 2024. But yeah, he's knocked it out of the park. All you need to do is just balancing, like lots of balancing, and you got a good game here. And make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and tell me your thoughts on Master of Command. I'd love to hear it.